My beloved child, stop scrolling for just one sacred moment, because what you are about to hear was meant to find you before this day moves any further. Something happened this morning. Something quiet, unexpected, and deeply personal. Your soulmate discovered something they were never prepared to see, and from the instant it became clear, their heart has not been the same. They have tried to continue with their normal routine. They have tried to act as though nothing unusual occurred. But heaven has witnessed the trembling behind their silence, the questions circling through their mind, and the truth rising inside them with such force that they can no longer pretend it means nothing. Pause here and breathe, because this message is not arriving by accident. There are moments when a person receives information, notices a sign, or suddenly understands something that changes the way they see their entire life. This morning became one of those moments for your soulmate. At first, they did not recognize how important it was. It appeared small, almost ordinary. A detail. A reminder. A name. A memory they believed they had placed far behind them. But then another piece appeared, and then another, until everything began connecting in a way that made their heart beat faster. Do not skip, because the part they discovered was not only about you. It was also about themselves. It revealed why they have felt restless lately. It explained why certain memories of you return when they least expect them. It showed them why they can be surrounded by noise, conversation, and familiar faces, yet suddenly feel as though something essential is missing. For a long time, they believed these feelings were temporary. They told themselves they were simply tired, confused, or emotionally overwhelmed. But this morning, something exposed the deeper truth. Your soulmate has been avoiding a realization. Not because they do not care, but because caring has become more powerful than they expected. They thought distance would make the emotions weaker. They believed time would silence what their heart kept repeating. They assumed that if they stayed busy enough, distracted enough, and guarded enough, the connection would eventually become easier to ignore. Yet something happened this morning that proved the opposite. The feelings did not disappear. They matured quietly in the hidden places of their heart. And now they need to tell you what they discovered. They may not know how to begin. They may be rehearsing the words inside their mind right now. They may be wondering whether you will believe them, whether you will listen, or whether too much time has passed. But there is one thing heaven wants you to understand: their silence is no longer comfortable. It has become heavy. It follows them from room to room. It sits beside them when they try to rest. It reminds them that something unfinished remains between you. Stay till the end, because the discovery itself is only the beginning. What it awakened inside them is far more significant. This morning, your soulmate came across something connected to a conversation from the past. It may have been a message they had forgotten, a photograph they had not looked at in a long time, a sentence spoken by someone who knows them well, or a sudden reminder that carried your energy into the present moment. Whatever form it took, it forced them to stop. For several seconds, everything around them seemed to become distant. Your name entered their thoughts. Not gently. Not casually. It arrived with the emotional weight of everything they had tried not to feel. They remembered a moment when you understood them without needing a long explanation. They remembered the way your presence made them feel seen, even when they were uncertain about themselves. They remembered something you said that they did not fully appreciate at the time. And as that memory returned, they realized that you had noticed a truth about them long before they were ready to face it. That realization shook them. They began questioning why they had resisted what felt so natural. They wondered why they had allowed fear, pride, timing, or outside opinions to speak louder than the quiet truth inside their own heart. The answer was painful, but necessary. They were afraid of how deeply the connection could change them. Your soulmate is accustomed to protecting certain parts of themselves. They do not reveal everything easily. They have learned how to smile while carrying questions, how to appear calm while emotions move beneath the surface, and how to convince others that they are certain even when they are not. But you reached a place within them that their usual defenses could not fully protect. This is why the connection became complicated. It was never weak. It was powerful enough to frighten them. Heaven is showing me an image of someone standing before a door they have wanted to open for a long time, yet each time their hand reaches toward it, old memories whisper warnings. They have experienced disappointment. They have trusted at the wrong time. They have believed promises that were not kept. Because of that, they learned to question good things when they appeared. They began expecting loss before love had the chance to grow. But this morning, something changed. They saw evidence that their fear had been misleading them. Perhaps they learned that you did not feel as distant as they assumed. Perhaps someone spoke about you with unexpected warmth. Perhaps they noticed that the story they had created inside their mind was not the full truth. Or perhaps the discovery was entirely internal. They finally admitted that no other connection has carried the same emotional imprint. Do not skip now, because there is another layer. Your soulmate did not only discover that they still care about you. They discovered that their recent choices have been shaped by the absence of what they felt with you. They have compared conversations without realizing it. They have noticed when laughter feels forced. They have recognized when attention feels empty. They have tried to convince themselves that something easier would be better, but their spirit continued asking for something real. And when they remembered you this morning, the difference became impossible to deny. You offered something they could not replace with surface-level comfort. You made them feel emotionally awake. This does not mean everything was perfect. It does not mean there were no misunderstandings, mistakes, or moments of uncertainty. But beneath all of that, something genuine existed. Something that challenged them to grow. Something that reflected parts of their soul they had not yet understood. Your soulmate discovered that the connection was not placed in their life merely to make them feel good. It was placed there to reveal them to themselves. That is why they could not forget it. That is why your energy returns during important turning points. That is why this morning carried such intensity. They are beginning to understand that some people enter our lives as temporary comfort, while others awaken a truth that continues speaking long after the conversation ends. You became that truth for them. Something huge is waiting for you in this message, but you must understand the emotional battle taking place inside them before the final discovery can be revealed. One part of your soulmate wants to contact you immediately. That part is tired of hesitation. It wants to tell you everything without carefully measuring each sentence. It wants to admit what they discovered, confess what they have been feeling, and ask whether the connection can still be understood. But another part of them is afraid. It asks, "What if I am too late?" It wonders whether you have already emotionally moved beyond the place where they left you waiting. It fears that you will see their uncertainty as a lack of care. It worries that you may not understand how much inner conflict they have carried. They want you to know that their delay was not always rejection. Sometimes it was confusion. Sometimes it was emotional immaturity. Sometimes it was the belief that they needed to become stronger before approaching something so meaningful. And sometimes, they simply did not know how to hold a feeling this deep without losing control of the life they had built around themselves. But the discovery this morning shattered the illusion that they could wait forever. They realized time is not standing still. They realized silence is also a decision. They realized that every day they avoid honesty, the distance becomes a story of its own. This frightened them more than vulnerability. Heaven has been working through small signs around them. They have heard words that reminded them of you. They have encountered situations that mirrored choices they once made. They have watched other people regret what they failed to say, and each time, something inside them whispered, "Do not let this become your story." At first, they dismissed these moments. This morning, they could not. The timing was too exact. The emotion was too strong. The message was too clear. They discovered that what they have been searching for outside themselves has been connected to a truth they already knew inside. You are not being asked to chase them. You are not being told to pause your life or abandon your peace. This message is not about waiting helplessly for someone else to decide your worth. Heaven wants you to stand in your value while understanding what is unfolding beyond what you can currently see. Your soulmate is being brought face to face with the consequences of emotional avoidance. They are seeing how pretending not to care has not protected them. It has only postponed the truth. They are realizing that vulnerability is not weakness. It is the doorway through which genuine connection must pass. They have spent so much time trying to avoid the possibility of disappointment that they nearly missed the possibility of something extraordinary. And now the thought of losing that possibility is becoming unbearable. Stay till the end, because their discovery goes even deeper. This morning, they understood that you were never asking them to become perfect. You were asking them to become honest. They thought they needed to have every answer, every plan, and every emotional wound resolved before they could speak. But what they are beginning to see is that honesty does not require perfection. It only requires courage. They remembered the way you listened. They remembered that you noticed the unspoken things. They remembered that even when you were hurt or confused, part of you still tried to understand. That memory created a question they could not escape. What if I had trusted the connection instead of testing it? That question opened a door inside them. Behind that door were emotions they had kept unnamed. Regret, longing, gratitude, fear, hope, and something very close to love, though they may still be afraid to call it by its true name. The most surprising part is that they did not expect to feel hope. They expected the discovery to make them sad, but instead it created a strange sense of urgency, as though something within them was saying, "This story may not be finished." They are wondering whether there is still a path forward. They are imagining what they would say if you were standing in front of them. They are thinking about how your expression might change when you hear what they discovered. And they are afraid that the moment they begin speaking, everything they have been holding back will pour out at once. Heaven is not revealing this to make you obsessed with their every move. It is revealing it because you may have mistaken silence for emptiness. There is more happening beneath the surface than you can see. The connection has entered a period of truth. Hidden motives are becoming visible. False assumptions are weakening. The emotional masks that once felt necessary are beginning to feel unbearable. Your soulmate is being asked to choose between comfort and honesty. Comfort tells them to remain silent. Honesty tells them to risk being seen. Comfort tells them the feeling will eventually pass. Honesty reminds them it has already survived distance, time, distraction, and denial. Comfort tells them to protect their pride. Honesty tells them that pride cannot keep them warm at night. Do not skip, because now we are approaching the discovery that left them completely still. There was one specific truth they recognized this morning: you were not the reason they were afraid. You were the person who exposed the fear that was already inside them. For a long time, they may have blamed circumstances. They may have focused on timing, complications, misunderstandings, or differences. Some of those things were real, but they were not the deepest reason for the distance. The deepest reason was that your connection required a level of emotional honesty they had never practiced before. You made them feel seen. Not only the polished version. Not only the version that knows what to say. You sensed the uncertain version, the wounded version, the hopeful version, and the version that secretly wanted to be chosen without having to perform for love. That frightened them because it also made them feel safe. And safety can feel unfamiliar to someone who has learned to survive through emotional control. This morning, they finally understood that they had confused peace with danger because peace required them to lower their defenses. They discovered that the connection was not trying to trap them. It was trying to free them. Free them from pretending. Free them from repeating old patterns. Free them from choosing relationships or situations that demanded little emotional truth. Free them from believing that love must always feel uncertain to be real. That discovery is now rewriting the story inside their mind. They are revisiting old conversations with new understanding. Words they once misinterpreted now sound different. Moments they once dismissed now feel meaningful. Even your silence may be teaching them something. It is showing them that you cannot carry the entire connection alone. They are realizing they must move. Not recklessly. Not dramatically. But honestly. Your soulmate has begun imagining the first sentence. They have considered saying, "I need to tell you something." They have considered beginning with an apology. They have considered pretending the conversation is casual, then slowly revealing the truth. But none of those approaches feel sufficient, because what they discovered this morning is larger than a simple explanation. It touches the future. It touches a choice. It touches something they may have recently been offered, shown, or told. There is information connected to your connection that they did not have before. Someone may have revealed something about you. A situation may have exposed how others truly see your bond. They may have learned that you defended them when you could have criticized them. They may have discovered that you were carrying more pain than they realized. Or they may have understood that what they thought was the end was actually a misunderstanding shaped by incomplete information. Whatever they discovered, it changed the emotional balance. Before this morning, they believed they had time. Now they feel urgency. Before this morning, they believed staying silent protected everyone. Now they see that silence may have caused more pain than truth ever would. Before this morning, they believed you might be better without hearing from them. Now they are questioning whether that belief was simply another excuse to avoid vulnerability. Something huge is waiting for you, because heaven has not yet revealed the most important detail. Your soulmate's discovery is connected to a promise. Not necessarily a promise spoken aloud between you, but a promise their heart made in a moment they have never forgotten. There was a time when they silently decided that if they ever became ready for something real, they would return to the truth they felt with you. They buried that promise beneath daily life. They tried to forget it. But this morning, it returned. Perhaps it came through a dream that felt unusually vivid. Perhaps they woke with your presence in their mind before they even opened their eyes. Perhaps they saw something that reminded them of the future they once imagined. Whatever the trigger, the promise rose with clarity. They remembered that they once saw you as part of a future they were afraid to believe in. And now they are wondering whether fear has already cost them too much. My child, you may have felt a shift today without knowing why. You may have awakened with unusual emotion. You may have thought of them unexpectedly. You may have felt restless, reflective, or drawn toward memories you had been trying to release. This does not mean you must act impulsively. It means the emotional thread between two lives can sometimes become more noticeable when one person reaches a powerful realization. Remain calm. Remain grounded. Do not abandon your discernment. But do not assume nothing is happening. Heaven often works in the invisible before anything changes in the visible. Roots move beneath the soil long before the flower appears. Hearts soften privately before words are spoken publicly. Courage is formed in quiet moments before the message is sent. Your soulmate is in one of those quiet moments now. They are looking at the truth. They are deciding what kind of person they will become in response to it. Will they repeat the old pattern and run? Or will they finally honor what their heart has been trying to tell them? This decision carries more weight than they expected. They know that once they speak, they cannot return to pretending. They know that once you hear what they discovered, the connection may enter an entirely new chapter. They also know that you deserve truth, not confusion. And this understanding is beginning to overcome their fear. Do not skip these final moments, because part 1 cannot end without revealing what made their hands tremble. This morning, Your soulmate discovered a hidden connection between a choice they are about to make and the future they once imagined with you. Something they believed had nothing to do with your story suddenly revealed your presence at the center of it. A plan, an opportunity, a conversation, or a major personal decision now carries your name in ways they cannot explain away. They realize that moving forward without speaking to you may lead them into a life that looks acceptable from the outside but feels incomplete within. That is what frightened them. They saw two possible paths. One path required no courage. It allowed them to remain guarded, keep their pride, and continue as though the connection had meant less than it did. The other path required truth. It required them to contact you. It required them to admit what they discovered. It required them to reveal why this morning changed everything. And as they stood between those paths, a final piece of information appeared, something they had not expected, something directly connected to you, something that made them whisper your name aloud. But the moment they saw it, they understood that this was no longer only about the past. It was a warning about what could happen next. Your soulmate now knows there is a limited window to tell you the truth before a decision is made, a door changes, or an opportunity passes beyond reach. They have realized that waiting may no longer be harmless. And what they discovered about you this morning is so deeply personal, so emotionally overwhelming, that they are still trying to find the courage to say the first sentence. Because once they tell you, you will finally understand why they pulled away, why they could never fully let go, and why the choice they must make next could change both of your lives. But there is one detail they have not yet accepted. One truth hidden inside the discovery. One reason heaven brought this message to you before they could speak. And when that final truth is revealed, everything you believed about their silence may change.